Hello, my name is Rafael Seiz Ortiz, and in this presentation I'm going to deal with a very specific and interesting type of online learning task, WebQuests. We will start with the definition and characteristics of a WebQuest, its parts, and also some ideas for the creation of a WebQuest, its development process. The objectives are to know what a WebQuest is and its pedagogical characteristics, to understand the part of a WebQuest and how they function, what are their purpose, and also to know how to create a good WebQuest. A WebQuest is a learning activity that can be carried out using resources on the internet that are previously selected by the instructor. In these activities, students focus on the efficient use of these resources and the information rather than in the process of searching for them. They are designed to develop or to improve some key important fundamental skills relevant for the efficient handling of information, such as classification, organization, analysis, summary, synthesis, etc. The learner, with the support of information and communication technology tools, should create, as a result of the WebQuest, a new outcome or product, as we will see. Regarding characteristics of WebQuests, they are flexible, they can be adequate to different contexts for short or long lessons. They are adaptable, they can be adapted, customized, adapted to different contexts, reusable because they are actually learning objects, reusable learning objects, and pedagogically efficient because they normally follow the principles of active methodologies, task-based learning, constructivism, cognitivism, etc. Regarding the parts of a WebQuest, normally a WebQuest has six parts, introduction, task, process, resources, evaluation, and conclusion. In the introduction, there's the general purpose and objective of the activity, and the task explains the activity to be carried out. In the process, we have the steps to follow by learners, and it includes sometimes the resources of a website and online resources. And we also have evaluation rubrics, the evaluation criteria that are going to be used. We'll start with the introduction. In the introduction of a WebQuest, we have a short text with only the fundamental information about the topic, the objective, and the contents. It should be simple, clear, attractive, and motivating for the student. And also, it has to convey the meaning that the topic and the activity is important or interesting for the learner. So it deals with important topic, important information, or a relevant problem, etc. The purpose is to put the learners in the center of the learning process and invite learners to actually carry out the online activity. The second part is the task itself. This is very important, pedagogical task or learning task. In this task, the learner has to manipulate the information, classifying, organizing, synthesizing it, and adapt the information in order to resolve the problem or the proposed task. Actually, in a WebQuest, learners should go far beyond simple repetition of information. This wouldn't be valid in a WebQuest. The students have to actually handle the information found on the different resources in a very cognitively deep way, meaning through reflection, drawing conclusions, expressing opinions, making judgments, etc. Learners should present the results of their work, research, of the activity by means of a concrete product that can be normally ICT-based, multimedia presentations, reports, maps, graphs, etc. Examples of tasks should be to determine the major differences between cultures in one specific aspect, applying critical thinking to express an informed opinion, assessing the pros and cons of applying a solution to a problem, etc. Here we have a type of typology of different constructivist tasks. They are normally related to the design of things, analyzing information, predicting facts, or the creation of some elements. Here we have some of the possible tasks. The next part is the process, which contains a series of steps and subtasks that learners have to carry out in order to solve the task. They must be in a logical and clearly understandable manner. Every subtask must have a challenge for learners in which learners have to develop their competences and skills. They require teachers also to explain these tasks very clearly, in a very clear, logical and realistic ways, according to the available time, the adequate level of the students, and also in a pedagogically relevant way. It means to be connected to the learning objectives and also to the target competences. The resources are sometimes part of the process as well. It's a list of websites. Not all of them have to be websites, but all the information should be ideally contained on the internet. And they are normally classified according to each subtask or to the different roles and groups of students. These resources must be reachable by students through the internet, as I said. And the last part, very important one, is the evaluation. The evaluation in a WebQuest goes beyond the simple assignment of a score. It has to do with formative evaluation and integral assessment. It is aimed at obtaining information for students that is useful to improve and develop better the different skills covered by the activity itself. The most common method to evaluate a WebQuest is by means of what we call a rubric, which is a matrix of assessment. A list of specific and fundamental aspects together with criteria organized in levels, as we will see in a minute. And the criteria must be well defined, and they have to be connected to performance criteria. And all these criteria must be clearly expressed, fair, coherent, specific, and they must be known by students from the very beginning of the task and available at all times. Here we have an example of a rubric, well, an open, here we have the objectives or products that have to be evaluated, and then the description of the criteria are organized in levels, normally 4 or 5 levels, no more than that, and this could give us finally a score, a mark. That's not a problem. The conclusion is the last part of the WebQuest. Is a final statement that summarizes the most important aspects and the results of the task, and it should be expressed in a very short text, very brief, following these objectives. They must refer and summarize the topic and the most important aspects. They must encourage learners' reflections of the importance of the topics and even encourage them to go on learning, and make a final comment on the learning outcomes to act as a feedback for students. In the web creation process, Dodge told us this kind of process. We start with the selection of a relevant topic or problem. We select the design pattern of the different tasks. We describe how learners will be assessed, the evaluation. We design the process, and we review and improve the result. Things to consider. A task is designed to meet the learning objectives. That's important. The most relevant online resources to carry out the task must be selected. The task and resources are presented clearly in an interesting way and comprehensible way. And it is important to take into account the time needed and the objectives. Here we have some useful links. WebQuest.org is the central WebQuest page in the world. Sunal is also a good tool. And here you have some other places where you can download templates for making a good WebQuest. In conclusion, a WebQuest is an ideal learning activity for developing skills related to information handling. A WebQuest has a very clear and logical structure, and it develops different learning and cognitive skills. Thank you very much for your attention.